What's up, everybody? This is your girl, Dr. T, and you are tuned in to the BTV podcast that's Beyond the Beat, man. We've been gone for a little while, but we got some great things for y'all in store this year, man. And I have a beautiful guest on. Someone I had the pleasure of meeting, through K Family and working with Canton Jones and all that. So she's deep in that family. But I don't want to introduce her because y'all know the motto on my show is can't nobody introduce us like we can. Can't nobody tell our story like we can. You know what I'm saying? Please welcome to the show, Miss Willetta Halsey. Am I saying the last name right?
That's right. That is right.
Let me straighten up a little bit. Going on?
What's up? Hey, everybody. My name is Willetta. A lot of my friends call me Letta Jean, Letty, all of that. But I'm an entrepreneur, mom, wife, all of the above.
Yeah.
I have a few things going on, not just entrepreneurship, but I have a few hobbies, gardening. I have my own podcast. My business is centered around graphic design, custom apparel, music production, and audiovisual services. So I'm pretty well-rounded. We're trying to keep everything in-house, so we're a one-stop shop for the people.
That's how I think that's a little bit of how I was. I was kind of branched out to a couple of different spaces, and God was like, I can use all those. You can use all those for your clients. You don't have to divvy out the assignment unless you have to. You know what I'm saying? If I had to take a step back and be like, okay, somebody else can do that.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at because it's getting to the point where it's like, okay, I'm recognizing that I have these gifts, but I'm also recognizing that it's time to delegate some things too, so that the business is more proficient and we can start scaling up and start making some money moves and stuff like that.
Yeah. But a lot of people don't understand what scaling actually is. Like we have a lot of people that jump out there and they call themselves business owners or they say I'm an entrepreneur, but they do a lot of different little things that don't really scale. And if you're not scaling, you're not actually a business. Am I right? Yeah. So, I mean, I know people want to keep me in the face for saying that, but it is the truth. If there's no money coming in, it's not actually business.
Yep. And that's the thing too, is like, okay, you have to recognize what and be upfront, be honest with yourself about what it is that you're doing. Cause like right now, that's where my mindset is like, okay, I've even had days where I'm like, I'm finna sell all of this and just start over from scratch because I don't even know if this is something that I really want to do. But over and over again, God is like, I gave you these gifts to better the people. And there are people around you that need what it is that you have. So if you quit, it's like you're leaving a space open in the kingdom. And then he always tells me like, the kingdom is full of pastors and preachers. We need business owners. We need entrepreneurs. We need police officers. We need Congress people. We need. That's how we build the kingdom. So like if I'm giving up that space, it's like he just gonna give it to somebody else. But at the end of the day, he's like, I gave you this, so you gotta go with it. No matter whether you got one client or 15 clients, you got to do what you got to do to elevate and promote.
Yeah. One of the biggest things you said is like everybody's not called to do the same thing. However, we're all part of this ecosystem, kingdom, and we all have a part to play in it. So a lot of times when we have Christian entrepreneurs or people that feel like they don't want to touch the subject of money, they don't want to touch the subject of I'm going to tell them my business, or I'm going to tell them how I do this part of my business. I don't want them taking it from me.
We got to stop that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be like, okay, let's do some kingdom business. If I'm hiding in, and I'm not saying nonchalantly or, not using wisdom when it comes to with people and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, if you're too scared to give out some knowledge for free, then you don't have enough knowledge.
Exactly.
If you're too scared to give out some knowledge or to show somebody something, you don't have enough knowledge about that thing that you're doing to make it process for her to scale it. It's just that's just true right there.
And also it's an operation of fear. You scared
Yeah.
that somebody is potentially gonna outshine you or outdo you. And it's
Yeah.
like, if like one of the titles God gave me was a wealth distributor. And I'm like, okay, well, the money ain't like wealth distributing, but he's like, no, knowledge is wealth.
Yeah.
The information is wealth. So, and that's another thing too. He's telling me, like, even though I give you these ideas, they're not specifically for you. I need you to tell people how they can come up too.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've learned the verse I've been on lately is Deuteronomy 8:18, and it says God has given us the ability to produce wealth, and it's a part of His covenant. And I'm like,
Mhm.
what? And our church people are so like, like, you're not supposed to be rich, and some of them
Yeah.
operate
Yeah.
like that. And it's like, no, God gave us this ability to produce
Exactly.
wealth. And if I
Exactly.
have some information that I can pass on to somebody so they can elevate in their business, who am I to hold that? Who am I to, like, keep that to myself, especially if I don't have the space or the capacity to perform that myself?
God showed me that a long time ago when he started when I started to get overwhelmed with doing. I had 19 people on roster, clients on roster at one time. And I'm like, this
Mm-hmm.
person needs this person needs. So now what in the world?
Yep.
Like you're burning yourself out, spending your money, still working a nine
Mm-hmm.
to five job, doing all these
Yeah.
different things. Like, where is this money coming from? Like, this isn't a business. This is a passion that I have that I call a business, and I'm operating like it is, but it really isn't, and it's killing me. So I'm like, I had to take a step back and say, what's most important to me? Is it having the title of an entrepreneur, or
Yeah.
actually being able to produce like one? And then why do I want to?
Right.
And
Yep.
since I have all of these different giftings and all of these different degrees and all these different areas, and I'm like, God, what you want me to do with all of them? Because I can do this, I can do this, I can do this.
Yep.
He
Yep.
said, give that information away.
Yes.
You don't have
Yep.
to be the one to run that
That's doing
business.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
just got to know a little bit about something to make. When he gave the talents, and I'm going to shut up. When he gave the talents,
No, sis,
the
keep going.
like, the
Yeah.
one that buried the talents, you get what I'm saying? He like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have to utilize everything that God is giving you to produce something great. And if it's in God, you
Yep.
can't worry about it being limited,
Yes.
because
Yep.
what you do with it will continue to produce more. You can't be
Yes.
scared to release it.
Yep.
Can't be scared to release it.
Yep.
Girl, that's
And
going to
that's
be a
part
whole
of
nother.
it is, and part of that is part of our community has that mindset of, well, I got it out the mud, so you gonna have to get
Yeah,
to. And it's like, well, bro, help me get to the next level. I'm not asking for nothing that you got going on. I'm just
yeah,
asking for what it took for you to get there. I don't want what you got, because that anointing is for you. God gave me another anointing. So
yeah,
if I'm going to go off of what he gave me, and I'm just asking you for advice, like, you
yeah,
can't be so in that mindset that I had to do it this way. And that's
yeah,
what part of that is, like, a church thing too, when it comes to
yeah.
salvation. Like, I
Mhm.
got saved this way, but it's like, you
Yeah,
can't put your salvation on somebody else and how they get to God. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same
yeah.
thing in business. It's like, he showed me one day a river has all of these streams, but they end up going to the ocean,
Oh,
or they end up going to a main body of water. But
yeah,
the path that's carved out for them was different. They may had to go through the woods, the trees, over the hills, and all this stuff like that.
totally.
But one stream may have went through a different way, but they all met in the same river.
Yeah,
So it's like, you can't force nobody to go down that same path that you took. You got to let people go down their own path. But
yeah,
giving that advice, like, it took this, it took that. Some nights you will be up crying. Some days you will
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like you're on the wrong path. Some days you won't hear an answer from God directly, but it's not to give up. You still got to
yeah,
keep going.
yeah. Now we like to tell these stories and don't give up, do what you got to do. But yet we have that other part that's like, but I ain't gonna tell you what I did because I had to learn. You got to go
Yep.
out there and do what you got to
Yep.
do. But something that God showed me a long time ago, back in 2013, 2012, when I was starting my PhD program, he was like, my counselor was like, forget everything you know. That's the only way you're gonna be successful in this program.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, first of all, I didn't ask you in this program. First of all, that's my best move. So I'm like, okay, doctorate, I'm gonna go ahead. She was
Mm-hmm.
like, but you ain't just gonna breeze through this by going in with what you think you know.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
said, okay, what that mean? And it took me some time in the, program to really understand what she meant. If I'm going to produce new knowledge, I can't just solely depend on old knowledge. So
Yes.
when I'm
Yep.
discipling, because that's
Yep.
what I call it when you mentoring people and stuff like
Yep.
that. When I'm
Yep.
discipling, I'm giving you all I got. But at the same time, you're the person that's going to get the new stuff that's coming to my brain, the
Mm-hmm.
new stuff that is being revealed. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
I may not be here when it's applicable to release it.
Yes. Yep.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So I look at it like this. My portion is so important to
Yeah.
the future when I'm not here. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yep.
So, but I get to enjoy the process of building. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just beautiful to me to be able to do that. So,
Yes, it is. And that's something I had to get out of my own way on is when you come into the room and you have a gift, it's not to showboat your gift, it's to say, how can I help somebody else elevate in what it is that they have? So every time I do a logo, every time I do a flyer or a website, I'm trying to help them get up there more so than my business elevating. It's going to happen. But if I put out a beautiful graphic or a beautiful flyer, that is
yeah.
representative of their vision, their dream.
Yeah.
I'm just the
Exactly.
one that's like, okay, you give me the ideas, I'll create it for you.
Yeah.
And we're going to
Yeah.
run with it. And it's going to blow just because I put myself on the back burner to create a beautiful design for somebody who has a vision or they don't even know how to get started. And
Yeah.
even with clients that I have, sometimes it's not just about the logo, it's also me giving that advice. Like if you have a car dealership or if you have a mechanic shop or something like that, I want to import ideas that God has given to me to give
Yeah.
to that mechanic. You don't have to have this whole shop by yourself. If it's days where you don't have the money coming in, rent out the bays, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
to other
So you're
mechanics
doing
who,
free consulting.
you
You're
know what
doing
I'm
some free
saying? God be dropping stuff on me. I'm like, Lord, I ain't got no shop. Like, why you give? But it's like, I know people who are mechanics, you know what I mean? So, and it could also open up the door for real estate, you know what I'm saying? Because I do want different properties at some point in life. And I do want that stream of income. And it's like, he's already given me ideas on what to do with different pieces of land, what to do with
Yeah.
different buildings and stuff like that. It's like, now we just got to get to the point where who is this person that I'm going to get with that's going
Yeah.
to help this get off the ground. And it's also about, well, if I put this out, if I put out a certain mindset, a giving mindset, that means I'm going to get back giving in return.
Yeah.
If I
Not
have,
only that though, not only that though, and I don't mean to cut you off.
no, you good.
It's when you're giving like that, you're being introduced to people with expert knowledge about something they didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
So you're putting yourself in position as an expert in a field that you don't even work in.
Right.
God will do that so strategically because
Yes.
he knows where you're going.
Yep.
It's like you can, for instance, I'll tell my own testimony a little bit because I know how to clean. I was in the cleaning industry for a little while before I got into, the nursing field, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I talked to somebody. They were like, "Okay, can you clean some condos?" I was like, some little extra money on the side. Let me go ahead and,
Right.
clean some condos up, right?"
Yeah.
Fast forward, it's been a couple of years ago. Fast forward, now I have two properties that are A properties that who's the one that owns the contracts to have
Mm-hmm.
free. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so I'm so confident now I can talk to someone else and say, this is what needs to be done. This is the stages that need to happen. They're relying on me, $1 million
Yeah.
properties, to make sure their properties stay at $1 million range. You
Yes.
get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yep.
you don't even have to be working in that field, but God will give you knowledge about something
Mm-hmm.
that someone else needs,
Yes.
that's just gonna catapult you and take you to a different industry, and you
Yep.
actually be successful in it. So don't be surprised when that happens.
I know, right? And then that's another prayer that I've been praying is like, Lord, not so much. And he's been giving me wisdom on this because prior to all of this, I would pray for like-minded people. And I'm
Yeah.
like, and one day he was like, well, what is your mind like? Are you sure you want to be connected with like-minded people? And it's like, wait a minute.
I get exactly what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
Wait a
Lord.
minute now.
So he was like, you need to pray for Christ-like minds to be around you.
Yeah.
That's going to push you to the next level, because I realized when I started praying for like-minded people, it was people around me that were starting stuff and weren't finishing, just like I was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I need to be around people when the idea hits, we going for it. We getting
Yeah.
around people that can make things happen. We can move and shake and we can do some things. It's like,
Yeah.
we done with starting and not finish. That's over with.
Absolutely.
Getting to
Absolutely.
a certain point where we get scared and then we stop. We not doing that no more. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And letting the
Yeah.
enemy try to take over in your mind. Oh, you can't do that. God didn't tell you that. Or who's going to believe you? Or who's going to
Yeah.
work with you? You don't have this and you don't have that. Just that mindset that you basically, the enemy sets you up to think that you're not enough, when God said you're more than enough because you're mine. So I had
Absolutely.
to change my confession, like, Lord, line me up with Christ-like minds, people that are in positions where I would like to be, that still had a family intact. That's another
Yeah.
thing, because like,
Yeah.
you can get around the Christ-like mind and then they have mess all around them too.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like trying to be in alignment with what God has for you is so important.
It is. It is. And one thing, I'm not scared of people's story, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
I work in the industry, in the gospel industry and outside of the gospel industry. I work with authors who are not saved. I work with, a lot of
Yeah.
people that may not be
Yes.
in that, but this is our opportunity to place God in his rightful place.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I can work with you and you want to work with me, but guess who you're working with?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're not moving me, but I'm going to inspire you. And
Yes.
one of the
Yep.
biggest things I see in Christian entrepreneurs is that they back away if you're not doing certain type of music, or if you're not doing, well, let me ask you this. Before I say
Mm-hmm.
no, what's the story behind this music?
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the biggest things is the messaging behind your brand. I
Yeah.
can work with that part.
Yeah.
I may not produce the music, I may not do, but I'm going to bring that message out because I
Mm-hmm.
hear something behind that cry, or I hear
Mm-hmm.
something behind that poem. I
Yep.
hear something behind those words you trying to speak to me and gas me up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing behind that. So what do I do with that? That's
Yep.
God putting something in my hand and saying,
Yep.
I need you to do something with it,
Yes.
because
Yep.
I've given you the power, the knowledge, and the wisdom to be able to convert this for my name's sake,
Yes.
to
Yep.
convert this so that whoever's listening to this is not only at the club shaking their butt, but they like,
Yep.
wait a minute, I
Yep.
heard
Yep.
something that,
Yep.
wait a minute,
Yep.
I heard, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
you can't be scared to go
Of the
outside of what's known. You can't be scared of that. Somebody asked a question the other day, and you're a producer as well, so you can kind of chime in on this.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody asked a question the other day, one of my brothers and friends, photographers. It's like, I'm noticing a lot of Christian hip hop artists that are saying, we're not youth artists. We don't rap for you. We don't make music for youth. And the
Mm-hmm.
one thing I said is, Like, I understand what they're saying. They just didn't say it in the right way. So
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, this music is not just for you, because most pastors or most people that call the men, I want you to minister to the youth, because
Yeah. But y'all need to hear it too.
yeah, but so what they're saying is it's universal. Like, you
Mhm.
can be a kid, you can be, an adult. Even a
Yep.
pastor in the pulpit needs to hear some of the messages that they have. So I say, instead of getting upset about what they're saying, understand what they're saying.
Mhm.
And then
Yep.
on the other end, with the artists, do you know what you're saying? Do
Yeah.
you know the message that you're putting out? Because we can look and sound all day long, and
Mhm.
that'll draw attention. But what is the message that you're leaving them with? Talk a little bit about that, because I know you work with artists, hip hop artists, especially in
Yeah.
the gospel space. So what is
So
that?
I love that because of the fact that you don't want to fall into one box. And one thing that God told me when he gave me this gift to be a producer, he said, I'm going to show you who to work with. And he didn't tell me that they were all going to be Christian artists either.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you think about Jesus, where was he at? He wasn't at church. He got kicked out of them all the time. So
Yeah.
even in his walk, it was like he had to go to the bars and you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Back then,
Yeah.
he had to go in the streets. He was always out amongst the people.
Yeah.
So it's like, when it comes to specific giftings and getting a person to tell their story, they have to push through the fact that you don't need to please the people. Get in alignment with what God is telling you to say on this beat. Don't be scared, because it's like you might hear something that may not sound like the quote unquote gospel hip hop songs that's out there, but we
Yeah.
need more realistic stuff. We need to hear the real. If
Yeah.
Cardi B and Glorilla, I feel like some of their music got more kingdom lyrics in it
Yeah.
than church music
It's
sometimes. It's like,
message. It's
it's a
message.
message. And it's
Yeah.
like, we need, if you're going to be in the gospel hip hop industry, you need to come hard with it and stop playing. Stop
Yeah.
playing around with it. God gave you the gift. The only difference is take the cuss words out, or I'm going to just speak for myself. I don't mind if the cuss words are in there as long as you talk about God and he getting the message across, because some people understand that better.
Yeah.
Just being
Yeah.
real. And the whole
Yeah.
point is for people to draw nearer to Christ, not nearer to the pastor, not nearer to the artist they
Yeah.
sell. The goal is
The
to
real
bring,
problem.
yeah,
That's the real problem. They don't want, they want the attention. The pastors and they
mm-hmm.
want it. That's another story for another day. I'm just
Yes, it
saying.
is.
But you gotta release that desire too, because I wrote on my Facebook the other day. I said we need more than your gifts and talent and
Mm-hmm.
your titles. We need
Yes.
more than that,
Yep.
because we need God through what you're doing. I don't care how
Mm-hmm.
pretty you are. I don't care how
Mm-hmm.
beautiful your flyers are. I don't
Yep.
care how much your recordings. You done found an app that do your recording so good that gets the attention. I do not care when I'm
Mm-hmm.
crying out for God for something.
Yes. None of that matters,
None
because
of it.
what may sound terrible to me may draw somebody into the Holy Spirit in that
Yeah.
moment. So it's like,
Yeah.
and then too, with that, I, even with making beats and things like that, I had to get out of my own way, because one thing I did pray for was not to sound like anybody else. I don't
Yeah.
want a Drake type beat. I don't want a Kendrick Lamar type beat. I want what I call Letta Jean beats.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
they are, and they're influenced by the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And so whatever comes out, comes out. And it might not sound like anything else on the radio, but it's something that an artist can perform to. It's something that an artist can write to, or it's strictly instrumentals. You know what I mean? Where people might just, so I've heard like some of my friends say they hear my music and they draw or they paint or they create and things like that. So, and it's opening up my mind to see like, it's not just about
Yeah.
a rapper or a singer. It's
Yeah.
about the art itself. And
That's
like,
good.
I appreciate when people come that are like more advanced in production. I appreciate their instructions and their advice. And at the same time, I still have to put out what God is telling me to put out. And when it sounds good to me, and when it sounds good to the Father, and he say, oh, this is good, then it's going out. You know what I mean? And then, and that's and then everybody might not agree with that. But somebody will. Somebody's going to love it. Somebody's going to hear it. And it's going to change their mind about something. It's going to spark creativity again. Because that's what I want at the end of the day. I want the person to hear from God and have a closer walk with them throughout all of the music that I create, throughout all of the designs that I have. Even when I have my gardening videos and stuff, God is in my garden. And he tell me so many things through the garden and how things grow and how it relates to us in general. And it's like, okay, so, and that's what I pray for. God, be in everything that I do, be in everything that I say, be everywhere with me. Like, if you say you're my friend, then we're going to be friends. And I got some stuff to talk about. I got these things that I like to do, and I'm going to go with Jesus with it. And Jesus is going to be with me, and we're just going to be riding together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, to your point, when you talk about mentorship, let's say that, or when you talk about somebody that has more knowledge or more insight into a certain thing, sometimes we gotta look. That was for that time. This is for now. That doesn't make it wrong, but we do need that guidance. And that one of the biggest things about me is I never want to go somewhere without some type of guidance, you know?
Yes.
And even though I may be like, nah, bro, that ain't working right now. You know, it's still something that they have in them that will catapult, you know, the process that I'm actually going through. So it's important for people to understand that don't always look at it like it's criticism.
Exactly.
That is, you know, they stomping on you or anything like that. Them a chance to truly help
give
you
the advice. Even
if what they doing is in the wrong motive or vein, God can still use that to help you move forward. So don't dismiss it. I just want to say that one point, because most people want to do everything on their own. Why start from the bottom when you had somebody
that can help you
time roll over themselves, triple time trying to do this thing? You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to give you all the answers. But your process is what's going to make you who you are, and that's going to be great.
Each one teach one, and we all build off of each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw, and I laugh about it now, but I used to be like, hey, why they using the same background I use? But then they gonna go tell me to bring my clients over there, and they're gonna charge this and charge it. I'm like, why am I not charged? I wasn't upset that they were copying. I was more upset that they were producing more attraction than I was producing. And they're copying me. What is it that you're not doing? What is it that you're not catching on to, you know? And I had to also stop thinking people copying me, because ain't nobody worried about what Tranell doing all the time, you know?
We
always think people are trying to
do what we do.
Yeah, it's like, man, ain't nobody even saying you.
Like, you do know we use the same software.
Yeah, like why me using the same software? You use the same software, like we doing something different. But that's me. I'm being honest. I had to get out of that, because it's like when nobody is helping you move to the position you want to move to, you feel like you fighting to get above water. And when you finally get there, you realize they already been, this is what they've been hiding from you the whole time. But you done found it, and now you got to work out the kinks and stuff like that. But it comes with process and time. And it's okay. As long as you get there.
A lot of it, like, it's our heart posture. I know that's one of the things that we talk about too, is like, where's your heart? Where's your mindset behind all of this? Is it to get to a certain level, or are you okay with somebody possibly copying what you're doing? Or it's like that technically could be that wealth distribution happening, that even though your specific thing wasn't going up, but theirs was, that's
Yeah.
still a reflection of you as a
Yeah.
mentor to say that,
Yeah.
okay, they listened to what I said. And
Uh-huh.
they, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it worked.
But I don't have no expertise though.
Right.
I had to think about that. So I'm like, well, they copying for a reason, Tranell. Like they
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
like you're an awesome mentor, and like people might not come back and say thank you, but
Yeah.
their thank you is seeing something similar to what you put out and the flow from it. So, and God being in all of it,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know? So
Gotta let that pride go though.
yeah,
No, gotta
yeah,
let that pride go. Because if you don't let that
yep,
pride go, you're not gonna always get the hand claps. You're not always
yep,
gonna get, I learned it from them or they taught me this. You're not always gonna get that. Most of my
mm-hmm,
mentors I've never met in my life. I do their courses,
mm-hmm,
I do their classes, and stuff like that. Then I call them mentors if I continually follow them. Read all their books. Myron Golden is a big mentor of mine. I can
yeah,
tell you all his sayings. I can tell you everything because I follow his Solomon business method and all of that.
mm-hmm,
Like that's how I think because I relate it to how he thought.
yeah.
And so I took some of those things and I implemented them in my own business. But guess what I also do with it? I tell somebody else
Teach
about it.
somebody. Yep,
I'm teaching them the
yep,
same
yep,
method. I'm
yep.
sending them the same videos. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about the same thing because guess why? It's up to them to actually apply it.
Yep. And
I
that's
can give
part
you
of
all
that. Yep. And that's part of going back to what we was talking about earlier about our community feeling like if I tell you this, you're going to take it and run with it or whatever. But when God gives you something specific, a specific gift, it's like, yeah, you might take this beat, but I can make beats. Like you
yeah,
took one, but like, okay, God
yeah,
gave me the gift to make them. So have
yeah,
fun with that. And
yeah,
like, even with, let's use a beat for example, if I don't get the recognition or the royalties from it, the fact that you blew up and made millions off of my beat is still putting my name out there. So
yeah,
people are still going to come to me. They
yeah.
still going to
No,
figure out, well, who did that? Who made that? Yeah, it's still going to come back to
yeah,
me. And it's still God in it at the top. So, yep, like you
yeah.
said,
To that point, actually, a business setup. To
properly.
your point, you
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's another conversation, but you got to make sure your business is set up. Just
At first it wasn't, at
yeah,
first it wasn't set up properly, but now we got BMI, we have United Masters,
yeah,
DistroKid,
yeah,
different ways to make sure that we're covered. And when those
yeah.
hits do happen, they go to a bank account. So we not just
Absolutely,
in the wind. It's free promo, but at the same time, you do want that recognition from the work that you did because,
absolutely. Ain't nobody
our
else gonna
gifts,
give it to you for free.
right, our gifts do make room for us.
It's a little dime.
Yep.
So I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
man. Hey,
Exactly.
this conversation is so broad, but it's so important for us to have, especially when we go back to the entrepreneurship, because it is a mindset.
Yes.
And
Yep.
you can do any kind of business you want to, but it won't be a business till your mindset is there.
Yep.
You know, you got to know what you need, you got to know who you need, and you got to know why you're doing what you're doing. Those are,
And be comfortable with those periods of time where you're not working with a client, and take those moments to either educate, find out. Don't take it as, well, God, why me? Why ain't nothing happening? It's more
yeah,
so of, Lord, what do you need me to do in this time, in this downtime? Because that downtime is necessary. Sometimes you
absolutely.
praying for, Lord, I need a break. And then you get a
Yeah,
week with no clients and you like, Lord,
yeah,
where the people at? I need some, like, what are we going to be satisfied? You know what I'm saying? So you ask for a break. Now you got the break. Here it is. It might not be a client this week because what did you pray for? I prayed for a break. I prayed for
yeah,
some time to get my mind right.
yeah,
So and I equate that also to a time where before I had my businesses, we got laid off like what was that, 2015? Me and my husband got laid off the same year. I got laid
imagine.
off I got laid off right before Thanksgiving, and he got laid off right before Christmas. And I'm like, okay, Lord, all the while I'm praying for an opportunity to come off of this job so I can start
Yes.
working on my business.
Lord.
And sometimes it's like, well, Lord, you don't know whether you need to quit the job. You don't
Yeah.
know whether you just need to stick it out and let them fire you or what's
Yeah.
going to happen. But it's like, Lord, I'm praying for this. I know you gave me this gift. I know you telling me to start doing my own thing. And sometimes for some people can't work that 40-hour job and work their business or run a business. It's like you really, really, really got to step out on faith
Yeah.
and be like, if this is what you told me to do, Lord, we out here like Peter walking on water. You know what I mean? And we have to not necessarily dwell on what needs to be paid. You got to take care of your responsibilities, but at the same time, you got to trust God too, to know that if I brought you here, please believe I'm going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And the first thing to cut out a blessing is your doubt. So when you doubt, because a bill popping up, the rent coming up, that will cast doubt. I feel like bills are all in position. They like right here, like in your face, like, oh, what you gonna do now? What you gonna do now? Like, bro, God told me, he said he supplies all of my needs. Psalm 23, just the first verse said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
if God, we get wants and needs mixed up.
Yes.
We get wants and needs mixed up, and we start acting like God is not holding up his end of the bargain because we didn't get what we want. He said, I supply all your needs. But if you trust in me, all these things will be added to you. He's talking about what you want can be added to you. But I got to take care of your needs first.
Yes. Yep.
You know what I mean? So I do in that point don't want people to be discouraged on everybody's process different. Everybody's process is different.
Yep.
And I don't care who you are. When you go through them tough spots, you ain't thinking about the word at that moment. You're not
okay. Like, Lord, I know you said to focus on this business, but this is right here. So you said you're gonna supply my needs, and we need some supplies. Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Part of your process. This is why God don't tell us the middle part. He only tells us in the end. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like, I'm going to show you the milk and honey, but I'm not going to show you the rocks that you're going to step on that's going to cut your feet before you get there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because you're supposed to trust me enough that even if you bleed, I still trust you. God.
Yes.
You know, whoever said, God, I can trust you even though I can't trace you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And one of the biggest things about entrepreneurship is it's always risk. That's what we do. We take risks.
That's it.
When you're an entrepreneur, you are an entrepreneur to solve problems. It is not to just say, I have a business or I have a product or I have this. Entrepreneurs hear and look and research for problems to solve. We will create a business that will solve that problem.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And so I've been out of 9-to-5 work since 2013.
Yeah.
I haven't worked a 9-to-5 job. And I said this the other day. I said, I stay in a condo, a loft that's, well in 2000, and we sit there and like, how are you doing that with no 9-to-5 job? And I cannot tell you anything other than God has been providing me.
That's
me since 2013.
Yes.
2 divorces. Raising 2 men, not little girls, men. Starting over in new areas and God used all this to push me to where I was going to be at. Everything that didn't need to be attached,
it fell off.
That's friends, family, things, worries. He's like, why do you have this bill? Why do you have this thing? You created this bill. This is not a need. This is a want. So, okay, let that go.
Yep.
He taught me in this time that if I have a full dependence on him, regardless of what happens, he got me.
Yep.
And it gets to a point sometimes where I'll be like, okay, Lord,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know,
Yep.
but he always fights. I'm
He
telling you, I was
does.
talking to a young lady probably a couple of weeks ago, and she was like, how do you keep doing that? How do you? I say, this guy, I'm not being cliche. I
At
am
all.
not being cliche. There is nothing special about Tranell. I am
Mm-hmm.
not being cliche. I am literally asking God every day,
What
God,
to
what do you
do?
want me to do? What
Yep.
is my purpose? I grew up asking God what my purpose was, and I wasn't even in church. I said,
Mm-hmm.
I know there's something that I'm supposed to be doing here. I
Yep.
know that I didn't go through all this stuff for no reason.
Yeah.
I know I just don't believe that. So like
Yep.
everything that I do, I will stop and start a business or start a whole new thing
Yep.
and look at me like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Y'all don't be doing this.
This is my life. This is the life that I chose. I chose to solve problems for the rest of my life.
Yes. Yes.
And regardless if that means, I got to take a contract or I got to do this, whatever I do won't restrict me from putting in that work in my business, period.
Yes.
Because
Yep.
I know that this is serving the purpose that God's given me. Not just
Yep.
because I want to have fun, not just because
Mm-hmm.
everything that I'm doing serving that purpose. Because I
Yes.
get tired. I get
Yes.
overwhelmed.
Um,
I have those same problems that everybody else have, but you can't look at me and think that it's all glitz and glam.
right. It takes
Definitely not.
it takes some days the hours are long, some
Yeah,
days you go to bed late, some
yeah.
days you get
Get
to
up
sleep
early.
in, some days you get up
Yeah,
early. It's like
yeah,
it's a lot that goes
yeah,
with it. But the
yeah.
one thing, if we're gonna do a takeaway, is make sure that it's ordained by God and it's not
Absolutely.
just you wanting to do something because you see
Yeah,
somebody else doing it.
absolutely.
Because when you get in that mindset of, well, I want a business because so and so got a business and they successful and I can do it. Yeah, no, don't do that. No, no, no.
Yeah,
You got to fall. It's like every day, Lord, lead and guide me to my purpose.
absolutely.
Remove thoughts that are not from you. Eliminate the to-do list that I've created and give me your list, Lord. Like, what is
Mhm.
it that you want me to do? Move everything about me out of the way so that I'm pleasing to you, and that your kingdom really benefits from what it is that you've given me, and that I don't overstep my boundaries, that I'm not prideful, that, you know what I mean? Because some people will get in there, they see the success and forget all about God. And it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
God, just as soon as he gave it to you, once you start to put that business, that job, that career path as an idol, or anything that you put for him before God is an idol. We're just gonna be straight up, even down to the food we eat, the
yeah.
stuff that we drink. Like, if you putting it before him, then you're in idol worship and you're in sin. So it don't take much. We church people, pastors, entrepreneurs, all of them, like, you can fall into idol worship, and it's like you can't be looking down on your members or your employees because they want to step away because they don't want to make this thing an idol. It's like even a pastor can make his church an idol. And then it's like, exactly. And it's like you have to step away and make sure that everything that you're doing is in alignment with God, and
Absolutely.
that you're not overstepping him, or that you're trying to do what you want to do versus what he wants you to do.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main points I make. I was on another podcast a year or two ago, and we talked about Never Forget Why. It's one of the books I wrote that I'll be re-uploading for you guys. But it's only available certain parts of the year for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
But it's called Never Forget Why. And I was driving down the road one day, and God was like, tell them they forgot.
Mm.
Now, when you tell them they forgot, now you got to show them what it looks like when you do forget. And so Never Forget Why came from that conversation I'm having, but also the ill feelings I was having towards people and how they were doing things. And I'm like, okay, if we doing this, then what you doing it for? Like, what is the real
Exactly.
reason? Like, I'm looking at conversations that I'm having with people. I'm looking at their thought process towards certain things. You're running a business, but a money hungry business. I'm not saying nothing about making no
Mm-hmm.
money because, hey, we need money
Yep.
to make
Yep.
that. But where is your why?
Yep.
What is your why? And do you
Mm,
have that in mind when you make up your SOPs, SOPs, I'm sorry, or, when you think about what kind of clients you're going to bring in, all of those
mm-hmm.
things matter. Your why should serve the
Yes.
problem that these clients have.
Yes. Yep.
And
Yep.
if it doesn't, then what are you doing?
And
What are you doing?
that big contract is a eye opener. It's either gonna show your personality in a good light or in a bad light. And those low days are gonna do the same thing. It's like
Absolutely.
your character is gonna come out when you have $0.00, and it's gonna come out when you have
Absolutely.
$1.1 million and 2 cents. You know,
Absolutely.
so it's all about that. It's all about keeping God in all of it, because just like you had it, you can have it gone in the heartbeat. And um one of the episodes in my podcast, I do a podcast called Blunts and Bible Study.
Talk about it.
Right.
Talk
So we're in a series called The Rich Young Ruler. So man, God has been tearing my behind up, because we always talk about the rich young ruler and how he was like, well, what do I need to do, Jesus, to, have what you have, basically, to have eternal life. And he
Yeah.
said, sell all of your possessions and give the money to the poor. He didn't say keep the money. He said sell it all and even give the money away that you make from it. And the rich young ruler is like, I don't think
Yeah.
I can do that.
Yeah.
But it says a lot about us too. Like a lot of us, like, come on now. Even, I'm not going to name any names, but think about the mega church pastor. Come on. Jesus says, sell your church, hand this church down to the next one in line and follow me. They gonna think it's the devil talking to them. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's really Jesus trying to figure out where your heart is. Are you gonna trust me that, look, when you do give these things away, you're gonna get it back? He didn't say you wouldn't get it back. He just
Or
said
he's
sell
trying to expose your heart. I think
your
that's a big
heart,
thing.
the heart
He's
behind
trying to
it. Yep.
expose to you where
Mm-hmm.
your heart is actually at. Because we think sometimes we're a little bit more advanced than we
Yep.
actually are.
Yep.
And be like,
And
hey,
that
I won't deny you.
Right. And you will. Like, it's sometimes that you will deny him in a heartbeat. Just like Peter said the same thing. I'll never deny you, Jesus. And 3 times. I don't know that man. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's so easy for us to do the exact same thing. And like, we can't fault Peter. We can't fault the rich young ruler, because each one of us have those moments in our lives where it's
Absolutely.
like you question whether or not this is God speaking. And it's
Yeah.
like, you got to know that the devil is not going to tell you anything to benefit somebody else. So when God is saying sell it all and give it away, he's telling you that for a reason.
For a
It's
reason.
to
Yes,
a
ma'am.
benefit. It's one is, like you said, your heart. What's
Yeah.
your heart behind it? And two is also because when you got it the first time, I wasn't even involved in it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You're making this about you.
Yeah.
I got all of these properties. I got all of this land. I sold all of this cattle. And you know what I'm saying? I established all of this wealth. But at the same time, with the rich young ruler, he would always say, well, I kept the commandments. I've done everything you
Yeah.
told me. But the one thing that I'm telling you to do now you got question marks.
But that's what God does. He exposes your heart so that you know, not him.
Yep. Yep.
This is why you're actually doing it. This is why what I was saying earlier is so important. Never forget why. Because
Yep.
if you forget why, then when he tells you to make a switch or make a turn and shut it
Yep.
down, you got to
Yep.
question, especially if you got money coming in and stuff like that. You're going to be like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute. I had 19 clients at the time God told me to shut it down. 10 clients.
And you like, Lord.
I was like, and a part of me was like, whew, I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed. Why
Relief.
going on? But the other part is like, then what am I going to do? Like I got to start over. I got to reinvent myself and all this. He said,
Yep.
shut it down was the
Yep.
best thing that I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't explain it. They tried to beg, me, or try to move it certain ways and say, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we do? I said, shut it down.
Down all the way. Yep.
I cut every single contract I had. When I tell you, there was no other feeling that I've ever felt that good. Even though it was scary.
Yep.
Felt so good. And then God showed me after that, he was like, they were nickel and diming you. They were, abusing what you got to give them. You're casting your pearls upon swine. Like, he was showing me different things. He's like, you weren't really prospering and you weren't helping them. They were killing you.
Yes.
And that's no, offense to any of the clients I work with, because I love them.
Yep.
But I had to do what God told me to do, because at that time, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have been no help to them or to me.
Right.
Yeah. Why?
And that made me think about when we had a car and God told us one day, go ahead and give it back to the dealership. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
But right now, what we gonna do? How we gonna get around? And he was like, your car note is coming every week, because we was doing buy here, pay here. This joint coming. Yeah. It's coming every week on top of car insurance. Yeah. It's overwhelming you.
Yeah.
Give it away. Give it back to the dealership. Man, when that tow truck came, I was so sad. But at the same time, but like you said, it was also a relief, because I'm like, thank you, God. I don't have no car note. I don't have no car insurance. And we stayed in a area where we could walk to Walmart. You know what I mean? And we were in a local area where our friends weren't too far away. If we needed a ride somewhere, they'd come by and get us. But it wasn't too much that we had to do where we needed to be all over the place, because we worked from home anyway. So it's not like we had jobs to go back and forth to. And then not too long after that, I say, like, it was a couple of, maybe a year and a half, or I say 2 at the most. Our pastor ended up giving us a car. No car.
That night. I was there that night. Yes, I was there that night.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I see what you're doing, Lord. I see what you're doing. Crazy part, God's still in control. We got in an accident in that same vehicle.
Wow.
And the car was totaled. So that was like August when we got the car. We got in an accident October.
Yeah.
The car got totaled, but the settlement that came from it was still another cash car. Another vehicle where we still don't have to worry about no car note. The insurance is straight. Like, God is still showing us, and he keep telling us, like, look, I'm trying to tell you, the money is cool, but I can do so much more for you than the money that you're trying to make. And he said, look, like you said earlier, I supply all of your needs.
Absolutely.
One day we will have that Suburban. I want to pay cash for that,
Yeah. Coming, sis. It's coming.
It's coming.
It is coming. Listen.
But it's like, it's patience. It requires patience and a lot of trust and faith in God.
Absolutely. And that is, we know what we're saying and what we've been saying on the show is not just hop, skipping, or jumping. You got it. This is the process. We want you to be encouraged in the process. So everybody that's listening that are entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, or, just people having hobbies and trying to figure out how you scale up so you can go and do something. It starts here in your mindset. You can't go nowhere unless your mindset, you have that entrepreneur mindset with a kingdom underlining. You know what I'm saying? Kingdom
principles.
foundation.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That is most important. So we're going to have to wrap it up. But thank you so much, Miss Willetta.
This was so much fun.
Yes. Yes, it was. We probably could go on and on for a couple more hours.
Yes.
So we'll probably have to bring you back for some more episodes related to the entrepreneurship in the faith community. We love y'all. I'm your girl, Dr. Tranell Stoop. Oh, Lord, I was about to say my ex-married.
Lord.
I got to get used to it. I got to get used to it. Still fresh. This is your girl, Dr. Tranell Jones, man. Listen, y'all are tuned in to Beyond the Beat featuring Miss Willetta, man. She gave us some great nuggets. So y'all make sure y'all stay locked in. You First Productions channel. We got so much that's going to be uploaded and it's going to be there for you guys' benefit. inform you, entertain you, all that good stuff. So y'all make sure y'all stay locked in. Don't go nowhere. Hit that bell.
Period.
Yes.
Yes. Do what
Bell.
she
Make
said.
sure y'all get this. Yeah, do what she said. Yeah. We'll see y'all again next week here on Beyond the Beat. Don't hang up yet, sis.
Okay.
Because it's got a